Don't worry about it, dude.
I have
Don't
no
worry
idea.
about it. We're
right.
good at what we do, dude.
We're just
All right. It's all right. Everything's already recording.
okay. I am going to hit our music. Are you ready for some music?
Let's
do it.
No, they can't get far.
Escaping the realm of darkness, the paranormal guys are on a quest to find the answers to the hard questions of where the normal meets the paranormal and the weird, and where the natural meets the unnatural. So grab your holy water, call your mama, and get ready for the Paranormal Guys podcast.
Hello, everyone. This is the Paranormal Guys podcast. Today's date is 7/30/2023. It is the end of July. It's been going by really, really fast. I want to present my co-host, my buddy, my pal, my chum, Mr. Steven Leinweber. Hello, Steven.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Paranormal Guys podcast. And today we have a very, very cool show. I'm happy you are all listening to us.
Yeah, so am I. I'm happy at least we got some people listening to us, which is always nice.
Hi, Mom.
Hi, Mom. Hi, Mom. Yeah, you ain't lying. So what we're doing is this episode of this show, we're bringing back a segment when we used to have on the old podcast called Hooky, Spooky Stories. It's where we take the concept of bringing in everyday people from everyday lives in the paranormal, supernatural, who want to tell us their stories about the paranormal or supernatural or aliens or cryptids or whatever they want to talk about. But we like to talk to people about these things, just like when we go to investigate. So we invite people in, and we're going to have this segment come out more often. At least I'd like to try to do Hooky Spooky Stories at least 3 times out of the year. That would be really cool to bring people in, get them on here, and that they can promote what they want to promote as well, and help them out best way that we can. Other than that,
everybody's got a hooky spooky story to tell.
Everybody's got something.
Right.
Some people are just very scared to talk about it, like because they don't want to believe what they heard or saw. It's there's a lot of people out there who are like that, but then there's the ones who they want to run right up to you and they want to tell you every story under the sun. Which is all fine and good, but sometimes people get really, really excited. I go, all right, slow down, man. Slow down. Let's take this slow. All right. What's new with you?
Oh, gosh. Can you, it's already July 30th.
I know, right?
August is right here. They call it circling the drain, Neal.
Circling the drain.
The older you get, the faster time goes as you circle the drain.
And, I never even heard that before.
No, you never heard about that?
No.
An old guy told me that once, and it makes sense now. It's like, because I am starting to perceive time. Time seems different. It seems like it's going faster. Like there's some sort of time dilation. The older you get, the faster things move. And then I remember this older man once telling me, it's called circling the drain, Steve. When you get older, you circle the drain faster. And time moves faster. So,
well, let me ask you this: what else circles drains, Steve?
Anything going down that drain.
Anything going down that drain.
The more important thing is, where does that drain go?
It goes to somewhere very smelly. I think we talked about this about episode.
Go to the pearly gates where you're met by. I don't know. I'm pretty sure the old guy was talking about life. And that drain is the end of the...
I don't think, using the thing, swirling down the drain is a part of a life lesson kind of thought. I mean, because when I think about swirling down the drain, I think flushing something.
Yeah.
And
maybe that's what life's about. Oh, I made a mistake.
Whoop. Just flush it down the drain.
And that's your life.
That's your life, buddy. Big and smelly.
But, time's moving faster. For me, it seems. And I don't know, is that just like a perception thing, or is time speeding up?
I think what it is majority of us who have jobs in life, our lives are an everyday waking up at a certain time, getting things done at a certain time. So time's moving. When you're busy, you're
Yeah.
moving. You see,
When
when we
you're
were
having
kids, when we were kids, we were watching Saturday morning cartoons and then going outside, and the day lasted longer because we didn't really think about the end result. Whereas you and I think sometimes about, hey, it's like 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, nap time.
Yeah.
You know, there's a
I
schedule
don't get
here.
nap time though.
Yeah,
But
I take naps, dude.
you
Naps are
take naps?
important.
I don't take naps. But have you ever had an experience where time slowed down? Were you ever in like an accident or something
Yep.
weird that happened and then it happened in slow motion?
Yeah, it's where your mind is believing it's slowing down because this is not part of the norm in your life. Like, take, for instance, a car accident, okay?
Right.
The first time someone has a car accident, all right?
Mhm.
That's out of the norm for them. That's something that they never ever felt physically, mentally before. So they're trying to understand what is going on
Right.
as the action is happening. So
It's weird, isn't it?
yeah, it is.
Like-
It is weird.
Time is a weird thing. Perception's a weird thing. And I would like to just enjoy the moment of now and just have this really cool now moment last a long time, you know?
So I do that. Like yesterday, I was in Indiana.
Mhm.
I was in Valparaiso, Indiana, and I took a moment. My brother has a place in Valparaiso, and he has this pier. And as kids, we used to hang out there, and I would go to I went to the end of the pier, and I took that moment in time.
Mhm.
And I recommend a lot of people do this. I'm kind of a deep thinker on things, so if I seem a little odd, it's because I do think about things. Is that I looked out into the water, into the all over to the forestry, over into the sky,
Mhm.
and I took that moment to say, "Today's a good day, man. Today's a good day." And I think when you do stuff like that, it's very important to you. So you do take in those moments in time.
Yeah. And when you take a moment, are you able to get back to that moment? You know what I mean? Like, can you sit down at night and kind of imagine yourself back there?
Oh,
again?
sure. You close your eyes. I think if you retain it well enough, physically, mentally, and spiritually, yeah.
So you could be there forever if you wanted to.
If you put the right thought process into anything's possible. At least I think it is. You know.
Nice.
Yeah, I like it. I like going to things like that and taking in a moment in time. But so a lot of weird things have been going on, Steve, lately. We got some weird news, of course, going on. But one of the things that I wanted to talk about, I briefly want to talk about because we don't have the full evidence on everything yet. But it's about that lady who was on that airplane.
Yeah.
A couple weeks back, like they gave an identity of this lady, but I don't think we have the full story of who this person is. Supposedly she's supposed to come out and talk about this. For those of you who don't know, we don't have a video for this, but I just want to touch upon this for a second. She was on an airplane, and everybody's probably seen it on their phones, where this lady goes, I don't know what anybody else thinks or anything like that. She comes off. She did not seem like she was drunk or on drugs or anything like that.
No, she seemed
very
nice.
very sober-minded, pretty lady. She well kept. She's saying that guy in the back, that guy in the back is not real. And it makes you wonder. Because people talk about things like lizard people or different kinds of people,
shape-shifting interdimensional beings.
Are these things real? But I've also noticed that movies sometimes do these kinds of things to promote something in the future. There was a movie that came out about a year or two ago called Smile. Where they were sending, before the movie came out, they were sending people to ballparks, baseball parks. And the person would stand behind home plate. They would give them the best seat, and they would stare right at the pitcher's mount where the camera is and just and not move. Everybody's like, what the hell is that? So, yeah, it's weird. So, when I see things like that, I'm wondering, because it's not the first time Entertainment has done stuff like that.
So do you think we're going to see more of these clips maybe happening where people are like, that person
I don't know.
in the back?
I don't know. But what I'd like to do is, of course, I'd like to find out who this person is. And I would love to have that person on as a guest. That would be something fabulous to do. But moving on, look into that on your phone. You can check it out. And I'm sorry we don't have the video for that, but more than likely everybody's seen the video already. But I just want to touch upon that just a little bit. But I'm not going to talk any more about it until I get all the evidence. And then I think we should have a deep discussion about things like that. If this lady is legit, what do you think?
I think it'd be very interesting. I don't know if we'll ever get her on the show, but maybe we can talk. We can talk to people who have had similar experiences.
Yeah, and if anybody else has had similar experiences like that, please feel free to reach out to us. I will have you on as a guest. Of course, we are going to talk to you first because there are people out there who just like to talk about things, but I have to know that you're on you can back up what you're talking about. Basically, I need you to back up what you're talking about. It's very important to show that evidence. Okay, if you have witnesses, this and that, I really don't want to put on somebody who is out there who wants to tell me a story today. This kind of a thing, I want evidence on.
Mm-hmm.
I want to showcase if you have evidence on that. And I want you to send that to Neal, Neal, at gravesideparanormal.com, or Steve, Steve, at gravesideparanormal.com, or also our info at gravesideparanormal.com. You don't have to leave your name or anything like that if you don't want to come on, but I want you to send us something. I really want to reflect upon this about shapeshifters, lizard people, stuff like that. I think it would be a great subject to touch upon and bring that subject of that lady in the airplane up.
Programmable nanotechnology run by AI that can change its form. Have you ever heard of that one? Black goo?
No.
You didn't hear about the black goo?
No.
Oh, we're going to have a talk later.
Black goo is later. Yeah.
Black goo is something that's out there. It's like there's like this nanotechnology, this swarm technology that's supposed to be able to kind of like shadow people in a way. It's kind of an explanation for shadow people, but a technical explanation that it's basically this black goo nanotech that can actually physically materialize as a person. It can even take the shape of somebody you know. And it may be what is the reason for the Men in Black showing up at the door, that they're actually a computer-generated nanotech, self-assimilating particles run by AI.
Almost kind of like Terminator 2, man.
Yeah, but not liquid. Just sort of like a swarm of nanobots. Little tiny ones.
That's weird, dude.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into the other weird news. Steve, if you could, can you roll it, please? All right. This weird world news is presented by the Paranormal Guys podcast. Sonar equipment aboard a boat on Lake Champlain recently picked up a rather remarkable object with some believe could be the site's legendary monster Champ. As a lot of us know about that legendary story, the intriguing image was captured this past Sunday on a chartered vessel captained by Scott Thurber. Sharing the fantastic photo on Facebook, he marveled that we had the pleasure of seeing this image appear on our Garmin Echo Map UHD this afternoon while fishing Lake Trout. Well, apparently there's more than trout in that lake, which he indicated were on the bottom of the screen as this Champy image cruises above. As can be seen in this image, the sonar return appears to show a creature with a sizable body and a set of fins, a long neck, and a possible tail. The peculiar case is not the first time that Champ may have possibly been spotted on sonar, as Elizabeth herself has previously captured tantalizing returns during her numerous expeditions on Lake Champlain in search of a mysterious monster. What do you think of this Dunbar's image? Was it a genuine brush with Champ or something more prosaic? weigh in with Graveside Paranormal and tell us what you think, and also weigh in with Coast to Coast AM, who did present this article. What do you think, Steve?
Wow. It looks like it could be what's described as a monster.
Well,
champ.
Right. So underneath what would look like the fins, the dorsal fins, is supposed to be the fish that are underneath.
Oh, those are the fishies?
The fishies, yeah.
Okay.
Now, it looks so perfect that I'd be like this. I don't know, dude. I have to be honest with you. You know, it's just that there's so many people out there that can generate so many things nowadays. Take, for instance, you were talking about your AI.
So is it just one still picture they have, or is this thing like moving where like they could?
Good question. So why didn't they film it?
Right.
You're man. Good question, dude. I didn't even think about that. So if we all know on some of these machines that you could put a chip inside of it, okay, for data, right?
Right. A logger.
And you should be able to see the whole image moving.
Right.
So show us that video. Show me that video, and maybe then I'll be a little bit more of a believer. It's not that I'm saying that you're a liar. It's just that we live in an age where everything is so out there that you can manufacture everything that is bull crap in the world.
Right.
To present to anybody in the world, and a lot of people, they fall for it. Don't get me wrong, I fell for a lot of things. I'm not perfect at this, but it just seems so perfect.
It seems too perfect.
You remember that thing that I talked about some episodes back? I think we had Jack on or something. We were talking about those mermaids.
Yeah,
and that was on the Discovery Channel, or no, not a Planet, whatever, Animal Planet, and they presented that. And I was like, "This, yeah, they had me as a believer because I was thinking, this is Animal Planet, man.
You got to trust them.
You would think, right?
They won't lie to you.
But they were on some bull, man.
But they did.
So I have to say to something like that, if it's real, great. You caught something awesome. But you want to know what? Show us the video on that.
And this picture that they present, it does make your imagination go, wow. I mean,
it does make your imagination go, wow. And but you want to know what? Take, for instance, and I'll leave it at this because we're going to move on to the next article. Sure. But take, for instance, your iPhones, okay?
Right.
How many times have we gone out to a place, we'll just say like Bachelor's Grove, okay? Because it's something we know very much about.
Right.
And you're filming it on an iPhone. People are thinking that they're seeing an orb. What is it, Steve? They think it's like a green or a yellow orb, or maybe a red orb.
Isn't it just a reflection of their camera?
It's it's that little dot that's in your phone that's being projected out, and it's like a center. And people go, "Oh my god," And when I first started seeing iPhones and stuff like that, and I was like, "This, what the hell is that?" And actually, you're the one who told me.
Right.
You said, "That's your phone, Neal." Yeah. I said, "Damn!" I go, "Man, these guys." Man, I could see how people can fall for this stuff.
Right. It's exciting. Yeah. You think you're getting something that... do you remember at Chet's Melody Lounge and we started seeing orbs, we thought?
Yeah.
Really early on when we started investigating places. Yeah. And it ended up being dust.
Yeah, and I'm like this. But you see, and that's why I was always like, I don't want to believe that it's an orb. Now, what I think is like an orb or something like that, I know we're getting totally off on track right now, right? No, but But the thing is that it has to be, for me, a pulsating light, and it has to make these intelligent turns, or going up, stopping, pulsating. Now, I've seen these things, but not with my own eyes off of other people's videos. I've never seen it personally. No. Would I love to? Yes.
But there's a moment of excitement when you think you're seeing something.
Yeah.
And your imagination gets like turned on, and then like you're having a moment where you're just so excited. You're like, I have an orb, or I have a monster, or I see an alien, or you get excited, and that excitement pulls you so much into the moment and into the story that later when you're investigating and you go, oh, wait, was that dust? A part of you doesn't want to believe that it was just dust. Part of you wants to, engage your imagination further and make it something it wasn't.
Yeah.
And so you can't even trust yourself sometimes.
Right.
Anyway.
So yeah, I agree. Sometimes you can't trust yourself. That's why we're actually we and I'm not trying to continue to commercialize us, but it's the paranormal guys. We're actually just two normal guys who like everything, the paranormal, the supernatural, this and that. And there's no such thing as experts in this field, ladies and gentlemen.
No.
Don't ever let anybody ever tell you there is, because there isn't.
Yeah.
There's people who are good researchers, and that's it. And there's very good researchers out there who just, like I explain in some of the speaking things I do, who knows good trends.
Right.
And that's about it. So, Steve, moving on to your news of the day.
My news is kind of sad.
Ooh, is it sad?
So there's this guy. He went temporarily blind. He's okay, though. He can see now. But he was trying to break a world record, Guinness Book of World Record, for crying 100 hours straight. He's known on Instagram as 237_town crier. And he's got that name for a reason. Hembu Daniel decided that he would make his claim to fame by crying continuously for 100 hours straight. But during his cryathon, he had to suspend it for 6 hours because he went temporarily blind. He experienced many side effects during his cryathon, including a headache, puffy eyes, and a swollen face. But going blind, actually it was about 45 minutes in the article here, and he went blind, was the worst of it. He did not win or get the title, and he probably has to start all over. What do you think of that, Neal?
Number one, I think it's ridiculous. Why? I mean, seriously, why?
How do you cry for 100 hours?
That's once again, why? What brought up? What came to this thought?
Yeah. I don't know.
I mean, it is odd. Don't get me wrong, it's odd. But my question is why? And did you come up with this idea? I mean, it's just weird, man. It's just weird. I mean, I hope the guy's eyes are fine. I hope he isn't blind.
Yeah, it's temporarily. It's temporary.
So, what's actually interesting about it is, could you put so much emotion into something where you're changing a whole bunch of things inside your body, whereas you're going to all of a sudden go temporarily blind? You have to, tears don't come from nothing, right? There's actually saline in tears. There's salt, basically, and liquid water. And your body has to produce the fluid, the teardrops, right? So you're going to have to maintain your biology. You're going to have to drink water. You're going to have to replenish salt, right? Can you cry without tears? I don't know. I don't think so.
But I guess he had some strategy changes for next time to include less wailing.
To be honest with you, I hope you're not going to come to part 2 of this story, dude. I have to be honest with you, because I'm like,
I think
why?
it's so sad.
Once again, why?
It's sad that he wanted.
It's sad. Moving on to the next thing in the news. Here's a very interesting thing. Also, we just had 3 days ago, which was Wednesday. I believe that was the 27th. Yes. 3 military veterans testified in Congress, highly anticipated hearings on UFOs Wednesday, including a former Air Force intelligence officer who claimed the U.S. government has operated a secret multi-decade reverse engineering program of recovered vessels. He also said that the U.S. has recovered non-human aliens from alleged
biologics.
Sorry.
Yeah. What is a biologic?
Alien forms and from alleged crash sites. But while the topic of green little men did come up, much of the discussion centered on improving processes for reporting unidentified aerial phenomena, or UAPs. The military's term for UFOs, increasingly UAP, refers to anomalous, rather than aerial phenomena to account for sightings in both air and water. There are also calls to remove the stigma for aviators who report UAP sightings and to ensure oversight of government programs to investigators. Retired Major David Grush, who's in the middle of that picture right there. No. Is that David Grush? No, he's over there on that guy's right. He's the guy in the middle right there. That's in the red tie. Right. That's Major David Grush, who went from being part of the Pentagon's UAP task force to becoming a whistleblower. Whistleblower, for people who don't know what that is he's coming out to try to tell you the truth. Or could he be trying to get you thinking that it's about that and trying to get you from another thing that's going to probably be going on the news? Could that also be happening? Could this be a distraction? It's a conspiracy thought.
I think.
I mean, here's the thing: is a lot of people, majority of people who are. We just talked to Mr. Donald Schmidt, okay, last week, and that's going to be coming out in September. The interview with Donald Schmidt about Roswell and other alien things that we're going to talk about: UFOs, UAPs. The one thing is that most people know about all this stuff, okay? Mm-hmm. But the point is that it finally got to the floor of Congress, and then the thing is that it gets to the floor of Congress, and all these people who are on the congressional panel they're upset that you're being negative towards government employees and this and that. Now wait a minute.
We're talking about alien life, and
you asked for this to be presented. And this
what
guy,
about the feelings of the people that you're hurting?
Now all of a sudden you want to get on that boat about feelings again.
Wait, little green men are real. We've got craft. We've reverse engineered that. The stuff we're seeing could be the reverse engineered craft from either aliens or a domestic enemy with the same technology. But you're worried about the feelings of
government employees. And then the other thing is,
they need to cry for 100 hours and beat a record before I'm not gonna take it, man. They're gonna cry about that, but I think if they're gonna cry, they should at least enter the Guinness Book of World Records, because right now I don't care. Little alien green men are real, and we've got flying saucer technology. They said.
But what I'm saying is that, we've already known this.
Yeah, we did.
I mean, we've already known this. And they keep what happens is, like when we were talking with Mr. Donald Schmidt, is that they keep changing the name UFO. First it was flying discs, flying saucers.
Right.
Then they came up with UFOs. Mm-hmm. Then they came up with UAPs. Mm-hmm. And then you have the submersible flying objects. Mm-hmm. Is it that you're trying to continue to confuse people? I don't know. Is this also another thing to sideline so that you can get confused about things? I don't know. It's been the government every time when like things come up about UFOs and this and that, you have so much information, the information that's given to you or what you're researching. So then someone comes in out of nowhere and says, hey man, you're right about everything, but I got a little bit more that I'm going to tell you. Mm-hmm. So what I do is I go and I tell you a little bit more, but everything I'm telling you is a lie. So you don't follow the road that you're going down, which is taking you to the right path. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to sideline you down another path so you can't find the truth.
Right.
Could I be right or wrong? Never know.
Well, it's kind of like what we were saying earlier. You can't trust everything that you see. And a lot of times a liar, they're going to gaslight you a little bit. They're going to tell you what you know, and then they're going to lead you. They gain your trust because you're like, he's telling the truth.
Yeah.
But then he tells you a lie.
Right.
You don't even know because you believe him.
Yeah. Well, enough said about that. That's our news for today on that. We have a couple of things. So our main broadcast today is, like I said, we're bringing back a thing called Hooky Spooky Stories. Mm-hmm. It was on our old thing called Spirits by the Graveside, our old podcast. We're going to have a Mr. Pete Ghrist. He's a friend of ours. He's from Northwest Paranormal. Mm-hmm. Northwest Indiana Paranormal. I'm sorry, Pete. He is going to be speaking with us about his things that he's had experience with the paranormal, the supernatural. Yes. Then we are going to have two lovely ladies up, Miss Susan Hill and Trisha Kautz. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. From the Marquette Lighthouse in Michigan, Marquette, Michigan. This was very, very interesting conversation. What they do is they have tours that go inside this lighthouse. Yeah. We were talking, very nice ladies, very nice. Oh, yeah. They were very nice ladies. And Pete, he's going to be talking to us. Pete's also going to be working for Graveside Paranormal for the Roth House this year.
Right.
Roswell for some reason. And he's
going not in Roswell this year.
No, not Roswell. And he's going to be doing the Roth House today. On the 28th, I believe the 28th of October. We're setting that up right now for an overnight stay. He will be your guide throughout the night. He's very good at what he does. He's very experienced. So we're going to be bringing that to you. We also have a new thing that we're going to be trying out today. We usually have Michelle in for her
Into the Shadows
with Michelle or Shell. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Into the Shadows with Shell. Her poems, which are awesome, which are
very
great.
Cool.
But we're going to throw something else in there today called Tales by the Graveside. Me and Steve have been working on this.
A new series. Mini series?
Yeah, it's an AI mini series.
Micro series.
Right. And they're just tales of storylines of little adventures that me and Steve have had. So that's going to be coming up. One other thing. Fan Expo coming up.
Yes.
We are going to be out with Pat and Rebecca from Ghostly Podcast. We will be there Saturday, August 12th at 4 p.m. on a panel. We're going to be talking about Bachelor's Grove. We're going to be talking about possession. We're going to be talking about and so many other things about the paranormal. We're going to be around all day long. We couldn't ask for a better group to be hanging out with. They're, just really awesome people to hang out. I'm just very happy that we're able to hang out there, to be honest.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just happy, dude. So with enough being said, let's go right into the thing of Hooky Spooky Stories.
Hello there. This is Betty, and I'm here to tell you about Graveside Paranormal, the YouTube channel for all things paranormal. As someone who has been in the entertainment industry for many, many years, I've seen and heard some amazing things. But nothing quite compares to the mysterious and intriguing world of the paranormal. That's why I'm such a big fan of Graveside Paranormal. The hosts of this channel are two normal guys with a passion for all things spooky. And trust me, they deliver. From ghost sightings to UFO sightings, they cover it all. And the best part? They make it all so much fun. So if you're a fan of the paranormal or just looking for a good scare, I highly recommend subscribing to Graveside Paranormal. And don't forget to hit the bell icon so you never miss a single episode of the Paranormal Guys podcast. So what are you waiting for? Subscribe now and join the paranormal party. I'll see you there. Boo.
And now, back to the Paranormal Guys podcast.
We're back. This is Neal with the Paranormal Guys podcast. With me, of course, is Steve Leinweber. And we're returning to a segment that we call Hooky Spooky Stories. It's where we take people's personal accounts of scary stories and they present them to us. And what we're going to do is give at least 3 people the chance to tell us all their stories so we can broadcast it out to you, our fine audience, so that we can hear the best stories out there, our personal scary stories. Are you ready for this one, Pete? I mean, Steve, I'm sorry.
I'm ready, but I think Pete's ready too.
Pete's ready. I'm so proud of myself. We're going to introduce Mr. Pete Ghrist. He is the director of Northwest Indiana Paranormal. He also teaches a paranormal class at Griffith High School. He takes a lot of the kids out on tours, and he tries to show them the proper ways to do paranormal investigations. And so we're going to ask Pete tonight, what is your scariest story doing what you do best? Pete, come on in.
Hey, Pete.
How you doing, Steve? How you doing, Neal?
I'm doing great.
Good.
What now? Me and Pete and Steve, we were all out at the Lake County Jail recently, and Pete was just so kind enough to come out there with us, and help us along. It was awesome. But I asked him, I said, can you come on the podcast and give us a scary story? Because you've been in the field for so long. How many years have you been doing this, Pete?
Since 2013. That's when I started my high school group. I'm a school resource officer there, so that's when I started that, and then started my Northwest Indiana Paranormal group in 2018.
Right. And do you usually just do like the Indiana area, or do you venture out to like other sites?
Well, with my student group, obviously we have to stay within about a 2 to 2.5 hour radius of where we're at. So we've done Illinois and Indiana with them, but with my adult group, that one's been Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, Michigan. We're looking to go to Iowa and Pennsylvania this year.
What are you going to go do in Iowa?
We want to do Villisca Axe Murder House and Malvern Manor, maybe Edinburgh Manor as well.
Uh-huh.
We might even kind of go over the line over into Nebraska and look at a couple sites over there.
Cool.
Now, the Velasco one. Now, I heard that house isn't that large, so you would need a smaller group for that one, wouldn't you?
Right. We were going to take 12 people, but we were going to take 6 and send them over to Villisca, and then 6 go to Malvern Manor. They're only about 45 minutes away from each other, and then switch the second night. That way we could keep the group small, but we could include more people in the investigations.
Well, that sounds pretty cool. Sounds a little bit different. So, Pete, doing what you do best, can you tell us what is a very, very scary story that was presented to you?
One of the locations that I love to go with both my high school group and my adult group is the Fowler Jail, or the Old Benton County Jail in Fowler, Indiana. It was built in 1876. Just a ton of awesome stories that are involved with that. But when you're there, you can actually visit the cell where Jacob Nelling was removed by vigilantes in 1883 after he murdered a 15-year-old girl named Ada Atkinson. So one of the best EVPs that we ever received was actually in that cell during a trip about 2 years ago. There's a background story where you could actually see in newspaper articles from 1883 where they're interviewing Jacob Nelling, and he's in his cell and he sees the ghost of Ada Atkinson standing outside of his cell talking to him. And he's talking to her, which is fascinating. That back then they would go and interview the murderer inside of his cell, and he's talking about a ghost that's outside of there. So they did rip him out of there. He's made some comments about how he had his whiskers were going to get, watch for his whiskers when they were going to put the rope around his neck, things like that. So essentially, we decided that we were going to camp out in there for a while until we got something. And we were very, very happy to get something. Eventually we said, were you abused in here? And we heard a voice back that was a long breath, like somebody was taking their time to just, and then you hear a man's voice say, clearly, I was. And
really? Wow.
Yeah, so it just very, very good. I don't know if you'd be able to hear it, but I could play it for you right now if you want.
Yeah, if it pops up. If not, then you can also still send it to Steve, and we can just overlay it.
Yeah,
we'll try it out. Were you able to hear that?
I can. Yeah, I can hear it. Play it one more time. Play it one more time.
Okay.
Yeah. Now I can hear it. So what you'll do is you'll just send it to us, and then we'll just play it right over that. That's not a problem whatsoever. If you want to, that was actually pretty cool. Anything else happen at that place?
Yeah, when we were in the basement, one of our girls, Paige, that's in our group, she was down in the basement with another female, and they just decided they were just gonna, shuttle the lights off, sit down there for a while. Heard her name clear as day, saying Paige. It was this voice that just was like Paige on there. It just a very, very cool place to go. There's a place upstairs in the upstairs room that has that we use a music box used to be a children's room, and we set up a baby monitor with it. And then we go downstairs and leave it alone, and it'll never go off usually when we're upstairs with it. But when you leave the room and you go downstairs and you let the spirits kind of roam upstairs and start investigating the different devices, they run across that music box, and we start hearing it through the receiver downstairs. So then when you start approaching upstairs, it'll be playing for a few seconds, then it shuts off. When you walked in there, like you were interrupting them playing with the music box.
You were bothering them.
Yeah, bothering them. So
how dare you?
yeah, fantastic place. I can't get enough. We just did a documentary there last year that they're editing right now, and they're going to put out. Yeah, they're going to put out towards the end of the year for the Freak Out at the Fowler event.
Do you find that using the baby monitors? Because actually, I've never used a baby monitor to do it. I mean, I had one for my kids, but I do you get a lot of disembodied voices, you think, off that baby monitor?
Yeah, actually, at the Monroe house, like a related story, we had a baby monitor. What we'll usually do is we'll put 3 baby monitors and then mark which rooms they are in. And that way, if you hear one start going off, you know which room it's coming from, and we know which one to go into. We've had baby monitors knocked on the floor, and all the batteries fell out of them. Like they knew we were listening. There. Also, we had one upstairs. I know you guys have been there, but they have the one with all the Ouija boards upstairs.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
In that middle room with the burnt doll and things like that. And so one thing that me personally, I don't really mess with Ouija boards. It's not my thing. Some of the people in my group like to use those, but it's just not my thing. So I went upstairs, I opened up the door, and they were using one of the Ouija boards. And, I made some sort of offhanded comment like, "Oh, your funeral," and walked out and went downstairs. Well, they kind of like just left it there and came downstairs, and I didn't know that they had not closed out the session. They just walked right downstairs with it and left essentially the phone off the hook upstairs.
Yeah, you left the open line.
Yeah. So right after that, we kind of were taking a break. We're in that little living room area. We're hanging out in front, and all of a sudden we heard like a clicking noise on there, and it was just clicking, and we're kind of like, everybody shut up, listen to this. And there was a voice that came through there and it sounded female, and it was a raspy voice that said, "Let me out."
Really?
And I do not have a recording of that, but we did have 12 members of our group in there that listened to that and heard it. It was amazing listening to it. But essentially, that's when we determined that they had not closed out the session. That was the room that it was coming from. And so left the phone off the hook up there, and somebody picked it up and decided to start talking to us from the upstairs room.
Oh, wow. That is crazy, man. Now, that was at the Monroe house, right?
Yeah, in Hartford City.
Yeah, that place there is just so crazy. I mean, it's just weird.
That's the one place you don't want to leave the phone off the hook.
Yeah.
The Monroe house.
You know what? I'm sure there's a lot of people who went to that place and did that and didn't close certain things.
I wonder if that's how like places get to be so haunted. They get a lot of little interest. People go there, they hear something, they don't really know what they're doing, and then it kind of snowballs, right? Next person comes, the phone's off the hook, they leave the phone off the hook, and they eventually get these like pretty well known places like Monroe House or what have you, Sally House maybe.
You ever been to Sally House, Pete?
No, I haven't, but it's definitely on my bucket list.
Yeah, that place, man.
That's a creepy place.
That place is very real. I believe there's 2 entities inside that house. That's what I believe is and one that's definitely stronger than the other one. That's the one that maybe we should get together and join on.
Yeah, let's go to Atchison.
Oh my God! I'll tell you that place there is, and the people around there are just so nice. They're just really, really cool.
Yeah, really great people.
Yeah.
And there's several places, isn't there? In Atchison, there's several places.
That whole town is haunted, in my opinion.
Yeah. We
were at a hotel that was haunted when we were there. A little boy running around the swimming pool area. It's at least that's what they said.
We caught him on tape.
Well, we caught something on the SLS. It was just kind of weird. Like a little. We were looking for this boy, and he was like running from one end to the other in the swimming pool area, kind of hiding from us. And then we asked him to come forth on the camera, and he did, or at least the SLS showed us something. Did we get an EVP on that?
Yeah,
we did. We got an amazing EVP on that.
So we're there. We're at this thing at the hotel we were staying at, Pete, and I can hear this little boy inside the pool area with my own ears, right?
Yeah.
And they shut it down to let us in there to film. And we go inside there, and we caught him on tape, like laughing or something like that. And it's on one of our YouTube.
Oh, he's talking to you too. I forget. It was a while ago that we did this.
And we were able to catch him on the SLS, like right near the pool area, or something, anomaly on the SLS.
Yeah,
the pool area.
But I think that whole town is haunted or has something going on there.
Yeah,
definitely.
There seems to be a lot of towns that are like that. Where it's like Fowler's one of them, Hartford City's one of them, Winchester's one of them. It just seems like there's so many different haunted locations in there. Just all together. We just went to Piper City a couple weeks ago, and there's a lot of different places over there that are supposedly haunted as well.
Like, take for instance, you ever been to Watsika?
Yes, with the Roth House.
Yeah,
Roth House, another fantastic place. We just stopped by there last weekend. We didn't go inside, but we just stopped by there, and we went and visited the graves, and we went to the Lorancy Venom House, talked to the owner there. So that's one of my favorite places to go. John Whitman's done such a great thing with restoring that house.
Yeah, I was just talking to him on the phone the other day. As a matter of fact, we were having a conversation about something, and but that place there, you always get some EVPs. I believe there is at least a spirit of a girl, or at least pretending it's a girl, that is definitely walking around with you inside that place. I really do believe that. All those people around.
What about the shadow person in the corner of the basement? Do you feel that that's true, Pete? At Roth House?
In Roth House, we just get a lot of really good spirit box session responses down in the basement, and bats kind of like seem to appear out of nowhere down there. But upstairs, Lorancy's room, and a lot of people always like, some of these different locations they go to, the room that you're actually thinking might have the most activity doesn't usually have that. It's usually like somewhere else. But in this case with Roth House, I feel like Lorancy's bedroom is the hot spot. That's just for my personal opinion, that and where they did the seances down in the basement, or on the main floor right there in the back there. But we set up an SLS camera. You were talking about SLSs. We put one up in her room and then put a camera behind it. And we have a video of this as well. We left the music box in there, the motion activated one, and we walked away from it. And then all of a sudden we heard the music box playing upstairs. It's not a big place. You don't need to use, baby monitors with that. You can just hear it downstairs. Right. So we let it just kind of go. Let it go. We knew we had a camera on it, and there was actually two figures that appeared, and they were kind of just spinning around in the room, like they were dancing in the room to the music. So really? Wow. Yeah, it was just very, very cool. When we went back to go and play that video back, it was very cool to see that there was at least two figures in there, especially like when we take our high school kids there. I don't know if you've had the same experience, but it just seems like the younger kids are more open to things, and they get even better results sometimes than the adults do. Yeah, that's been my experience. My high school group's gone on over 160 investigations, and just several of them were to Roth House, and they just always got huge responses from on the spirit box. It's just like they were talking on the phone.
Wasn't Mary Roth like 17 or 18?
She was 18 when she died in 1865.
Right, but 17, maybe 16 when she started experiencing like
seizures
issues that she had.
No, she was younger than that when she started getting herself those things.
Kind of curious though, like that the high school kids experience a lot of activity over there, given the age of Mary.
Yeah, there was actually, we even had one student that has like kind of like medium capabilities.
Okay.
And she had to go outside because she said that she was having trouble breathing. when she
Right.
was upstairs there. So she's like, I just need to go out and get a little bit of air. It was just a little bit too much for her when she came in there, because it just seemed like there was something kind of attaching onto her while she was walking around in there. So,
Right.
but we had permission, and we went over to the cemetery, and it went over there, and we got some really a lot of really good responses on the spirit box there as well. There's that's just an amazing place to go to as well. You're sitting there thinking about, they've already buried 2 of their kids. Now they're watching Mary get lowered into the ground, and they're standing there with their 4-year-old, their 1-year-old, and they're thinking to themselves, I can't do this again. Right. I can't go through this again. Is that the point right there where they decided we're going to build a house so that we can channel the spirit of our dead daughter, because we want to talk to her? It just that story there is just amazing.
It's an amazing story. I always call it was actually a what I call it anyways, because we did one of our events out there called Parapalooza, and we had a whole bunch of people come out there, and I actually think it's a spiritual miracle. That's the way I explain it when I do the presentation. That, I mean, you have one spirit that inhabits another spirit to heal it. I find that to be some kind of spiritual miracle. So you're right, and it also gave those parents a chance to say goodbye. Yeah, it gave them the closure that they needed after that 100 days. I'm going to give Lorancy. Said I'm going to give the spirit, the body back to Lorancy. Yeah, and then they were able to say goodbye, and they didn't get that opportunity before. Yeah. So just a very healing, amazing story.
I'd like to know more about how the parents did after the experience, after Lorancy returned, and kind of life goes on. I'm kind of curious how that experience might have changed them.
She moved to, as you know, Steve, she moved to California after
Lorancy did, right?
Yeah, Lorancy, and she got married.
Right. I was curious how the parents of Mary did after that experience, how it might have changed them. Well,
actually, of course, it did change them because it gave them closure. But remember, Lorancy did come back every now and then to meet with the Roth family, remember? Just to visit.
But she didn't really want to talk about it, right, Lorancy, like with other people? I think she kind of...
she started to go by the name Mary, didn't she?
Oh, did she?
Her first name, yeah. If you go and you find her on different sites with Find a Grave, things like that, she actually went by Mary Lorancy Venom.
Oh, really? I didn't even know that.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. So right next to Mary's grave is her brother, who died 20 years after that. And then the family it seems like the family kind of just left. And they kind of because the other siblings that were one of the other siblings is buried over on the end, and he was one that lived to be an adult. All the ones that lived to be an adult other than that seems to have kind of got out of that area. So you never know. They might have been it's the first documented case of spiritual possession. So you might have had people down the lines as that. All those different spiritualist movement type stuff started to catch on even more and more. That might have been something where they were constantly bothered about it. Yeah. Maybe they wanted to deal with the closure and move on with their lives.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very fascinating. Yeah.
All right. Well, Pete, like I said, these are just little short segments. We want to thank you very much for coming on and hanging out here with us today and tell us some spooky stories. It's really, really cool of you to do that today. And we want to see you more on the show. I will reach out to you. This is Mr. Peter Ghrist with the Northwest Indiana Paranormal Society. Pete, you got anything where people can reach you?
We have a Facebook page, Northwest Indiana Paranormal, and we have an Instagram with the same name. The high school group is obviously just for students, but we do have a page for that as well, and an Instagram page as well. It's just for the students and their parents. Due to their ages and things like that. But we have a lot of stuff coming up with the adult group this year, some old locations and some new ones. So people go on the page. We always invite new people to come along. So if we have a couple spots available, we throw them up for grabs and meet some new people, and it's always a good time.
Cool. Right. And we hope to do another investigation with you because you were just really awesome with us.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right. So once again, this is Neal, and that's Steve. And like always, boys and girls, boo.
Get ready because It's time for Tales by the Graveside.
As I reflect of all my years as a paranormal investigator, no story haunts me as much to this day as the story of Ophelia Lovelace, the spirit of a woman in white who haunts the Willowbrook Rest Cemetery in New Orleans, Louisiana. They say this hitchhiking spirit only wanted to find her way home, but what she really wanted was much darker than anyone would have ever expected.
And now, back to the Paranormal Guys podcast.
All right, we're back with Hooky Spooky Stories. Now, the next story that we're going to be talking about is we are actually going to bring in two ladies from a place, a lighthouse in Marquette. It's called the Marquette Lighthouse. It was originally built in 1853. These two ladies, they work there, Susan and Trisha, and they're both going to tell us stories that have happened there. They're also going to present us with some evidence of that, Steve.
Nice.
So I want to go to this lighthouse. I really do. So from us, it's like a 6.5 hour drive. It's a kind of a long drive, you know.
It's way up there, huh?
It's way out there, man. It's way out there. So I would like to eventually get out there just to see what's going on myself and maybe film out there, which would be really, really cool. But I want to bring them in and they can tell us more about it. Tell us more to our audience and tell us all the creepy, spooky stuff that goes on in this lighthouse. So I welcome in Trisha and Susan. Come on in.
Hi, ladies.
Hi. Thanks for having us.
I'm great that you're here. I'm very, very happy you're here. I love lighthouses. I was at the St. Augustine Lighthouse in Florida,
right?
And many years ago with my family, and lighthouses just have some kind of weird draw of energy. It's probably because of the energy from the water, you know, and the rocks around. Are you guys built upon limestone?
It is rock.
Yep,
Is it limestone?
It's sitting
Quartz.
on quartz.
Quartz. Okay, yeah.
Bluff.
Oh, yeah, because that's a great conduit for anything supernatural or paranormal. So you have all that energy there, and then you also have a lot of shipwrecks that happen, I guess. And it was originally built in 1853. Am I correct?
It was. That was the original lighthouse. The one that stands there today was actually built in 1866.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. All right. So give us a little bit of a background on the place, and then a little bit of background on the both of you, and then your Hooky Spooky story for tonight.
Okay, absolutely. So, as you mentioned, the original was built in 1853. It was made primarily of wood, which is a bad building choice for a lighthouse on a great lake.
Yeah,
right.
It lasted 10 years because it just couldn't handle the weather. But originally, it was a tower structure and a separate house, so two structures side by side. One of our primary ghosts is actually from that original lighthouse, so she's still there at the newer one. So that original lighthouse was replaced with the brick one that stands there today. It was built in 1866. Originally, it was one story, and the second story was added on around 1910 because they needed more lodgings for keeper staff as the harbor got busier, and they had to increase the peeps working there.
All right. Steve has a picture of the lighthouse. Steve, pull up the lighthouse as we see it today.
There it is.
Yeah, man, that is really cool. It almost looks like an old school.
It does. That actually is a schoolhouse lighthouse style. That is the style of lighthouse that it is.
Oh, wow.
Exactly.
And how many owners have gone through that home?
How many keepers? Oh gosh.
Keepers, I'm sorry.
There's a huge list posted inside the lighthouse. There's been a lot.
Yeah.
I'm not going to ballpark you a number because I'm going to be wrong.
Now, people raised families inside of this lighthouse?
Some children did live there. Typically, a lot of the keepers were single men or married men. There was some families that lived there, but typically it was more of a single men's job.
Oh.
Yeah.
Now, what drew you, Trish, to now, Susan. I'm sorry, Susan first. Susan, what drew you into wanting to work at the lighthouse?
Well, I moved here to Michigan in 2016, and I was not working yet, and I wanted to meet some people, and I saw that the Maritime Museum was looking for volunteers. And I mean, it's important to volunteer wherever you live. So I threw in an application, and I ended up being a daytime tour guide for Marquette Harbor Lighthouse. And I didn't believe in ghosts. Interestingly enough, when I first started this gig, by the end of 2017, I was sending Uper Paranormal a message on Facebook saying, can you please come and investigate, because I'm about to quit, because there's so many things happening here. There's doors slamming, there's footsteps, things are touching us, and I don't know what it is, and my nerves were shot. Mm-hmm. So I reached out to Trish, and she came and checked it out, and a beautiful friendship was born. And we've been, now we do paranormal tours and introduce people to the spirits that are still working there.
Cool. Now, Trish, you're actually the one who originally reached out to us, and we had a little bit of a misunderstanding on the emails, which is always good, because now finally we're here. We're finally here.
I am definitely not tech savvy, so that was my fault. My bad.
No, that's fine. I don't get upset about these things. I really don't. It happens when it happens. But the thing is that you reached out to us, and we were greatly appreciative of that. What drew you into wanting to work at a lighthouse?
Well, when she called me, obviously, because I started doing this because I lived in a house that had all kinds of activity going on. And I reached out to a group. They were in Wisconsin, actually, and they taught me everything. And so I wanted to be there for them because, somebody was there for me to show me how to figure out what was going on. Uh-huh. And she was pretty desperate to have someone come and check it out. And so when we realized there was stuff going on, it just it gave her... I guess empowerment. She knew they weren't going to hurt her, and so we started talking about doing the tours.
Cool. Now you said that you have a kind of a background in the paranormal. So how did you get into the paranormal?
Well, that's what I said. I lived in a house with my husband and my kids, and we would have stuff happen, like a kitchen chair levitated.
Oh wow.
The kitchen towels, my kids would wake up in the middle of the night, and they said there was a woman dancing in our kitchen, and the kitchen towels would be just flipping like she was dancing with them. We heard voices in the house, saw apparitions in the house. So of course I'm like, well, that doesn't seem normal. So, and I didn't know where to turn, because at the time there was not a group around that knew about this kind of stuff. So my son-in-law put me in touch with a group from Wisconsin. They said, get a recorder, ask questions. If you get responses, then you probably have something going on. So I stayed in touch with them for a few months. And then I just started doing it on my own for people that had stuff going on in their homes. Because where we live, there are a ton of old houses, very old.
Yeah.
So people are reaching out saying, hey, I'm hearing weird noises in my house. But the first thing I try to do is debunk it, of course, but it is interesting when you get responses through the recorder or on the SLS or, we've heard disembodied voices with our own ears. So it really intrigues you.
Right. Of course. Yeah, we've been going to places where you get the disembodied voices, and it's always interesting when you go ahead and do that. Now, Susan, how did you ever get into paranormal, or is this what got you into doing what you do?
This is what got me into it. Now I join Trish on residential stuff and whatnot, and the lighthouse, of course, is my primary love, but I help out Trish anytime I can. So it's been a weird, unexpected entry into paranormal investigation for me as well.
Yeah. Now, do you now you're inside the lighthouse right now, or is this your home?
No, we are not. We're actually in my living room. I do have a lovely painting of the lighthouse.
That's what I was asking, because I saw in the background the lighthouse, and I'm thinking, oh, maybe they're inside the lighthouse.
No, I just love it excessively. I'm on the board actually for the lighthouse as well now, because it's just so important to help with the preservation of such an icon. That is a one-of-a-kind lighthouse. So. Oh, neat. That is really neat. So now the main part. We want to get from you ladies your scariest, most spookiest, the one that wakes you up in the middle of the night type of story. And you just go, holy crap, did that just happen? Yeah, that's a good one.
So, Susan, I'm going to start with you, Susan. Can you tell us what's your Hooky Spooky story?
That prompted or pushed me over the edge and had me reach out to Trish, because that was the breaking point for me, and I was going to be done. So it was a daytime tour on a hot hot summer day, and I'd had my tour through the lighthouse. We'd gone out on the beautiful catwalk in front of the lighthouse and looked at the lake and talked about the shipwreck that's out there. And during our tours, we always have the front tower door at the bottom of the tower on your photo. There's a door. We always have that propped open when there's a tour inside. It's a fire regulation. So we bring them in through the back door, but that front door stays open just in case we ever needed an exit. So at the end of the tour, I typically leave the group over by the back door looking at the lilacs and the beautiful view back there. And I'll run in and I will close that front door and I'll secure it with 2 2x4s that kind of bar the door from unwanted entry. So I'd gone back in alone that day, per usual, and I had closed the door. I'd put the first 2x4 down across it, and I was reaching for the second one, and it got ice cold in that tower door area. And I mean, like I was standing in a meat freezer, like it was just crazy. And the hair stood up on my arms and the back of my neck, and it was just tingly energy like I've never felt before. And I felt it, the only way to describe it is a finger down the back of my neck, dragging back of my neck. And I will never forget. I said, "Oh, hell no." And I slammed that second 2x4 down and I ran out of that lighthouse. Usain Bolt couldn't have caught me. You have never seen a plus size woman run that fast. I was scared the holy hell out of me. I went bombing down to the Maritime Museum, frantically told the director what had just happened to me. And she kind of just, "Oh yeah, you know, whatever." Well, the very next day, it happened to another tour guide in the exact spot in the lighthouse. Her name was Shannon. And I hadn't spoken to her. We rarely talked, you know, maybe saw each other at a party once in a while. But so she called me the next day and said, "The director told me to give you a call and ask what happened yesterday, because something touched my neck today when I was locking the front door. It got really cold, blah, blah, blah." And I was like, wow. Yeah. So that was when they started touching us. That was what I'm not okay with that, or I wasn't.
No, who would be?
So to Trish and described a lot of what had been happening because there was just so much activity, and asked if she could please come and tell us what is in there and is it safe, because here I was brand spanking new to this and not comfortable with it at all. So Trish came riding in on her white horse and saved the day for us.
My broom.
Your broom. Whatever gets you there, gets you there.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
Steve,
were
you
you able to get the touching to stop? Like,
It has. Trish had said, when you go back in there, you tell them they do not have your permission to touch you. You be firm, you know, and I did. The next time I went in, I said, "That is not okay. You don't have my permission to touch me. No more of that. Hands off." And he hasn't since then. I do believe that it is the ghost of the keeper that passed away. Marquette Lighthouse. He's the only person to pass away inside, and he is, I believe, our strongest spirit.
Oh, really? And what's his name?
His name is Keeper Sales. He was keeping iron sales, and he passed away in the 1940s. He had a cardiac event upstairs in his room, and he was in his late 40s when he passed. And we believe, we've had mediums read the lighthouse, and he's given us his name and how he died by EVP and through the spirit box. But we believe that he is our primary ghost, if you will. He's very interactive with the tours. We have tons of Keeper Sales evidence.
Yeah. All right, cool. Now, what about you, Trish? How did you, or what's your hooky spooky story of the place?
Oh gosh.
The night we tried to spend the night.
Yeah, I think the night that her and I tried to spend the night there, it was after one of the tours, and after the tour let out, we were getting ready to set our stuff up for the night, and she had gone down to the museum to see the folks off and see if they wanted to buy anything and whatever. And I was going down the stairs to the winch room. I was going to set up some equipment and literally heard someone running down the stairs behind me. And you know how you feel like the vibration of the floor when someone's running behind you? So I stepped out of the way thinking someone was there. And there was nobody there. So I got rushed on the stairs. And so I was just like, I'm going to sit down here and do an EVP session. So I asked, "Was that you that was rushing me on the stairs or, chasing me down the stairs?" And you hear a woman say, "It was me."
Really?
Yeah. And so I was like, okay, so we're going to have an active night. And I knew she wasn't going to be really thrilled about it, but
I'm a chicken.
we're sitting in one of the rooms in the lighthouse and just chatting, and I think it was going on like 11:30 or something, and we were talking about pizza and all that kind of thing, and asking the spirits, did you guys have pizza when you were here and things like that. And we heard movement in what we call the life jacket room. And it sounded like somebody was pulling something across the floor. And I thought it was her. And she said, no, it wasn't me. And so we're listening. We're doing a Facebook Live at this time. And all of a sudden you hear footsteps going down the hall and up the metal stairs of the tower. And we just kind of looked at each other, and she was freaking out a little bit. And I'm like, well, I kind of think we should go see if we can see somebody or see if it's keeper sales or whatnot. And so we got up to go look. She was behind me, and all of a sudden we kind of got rushed from something in the shipwreck room. It kind of tried to come between us. You could feel it. You could hear it. And so after we went and got the equipment out of that room that the noise came out of, we were like, it's time for us to go. They don't want us here. So we packed up our stuff and
quickly packed up our stuff. I was hanging on to her leg like a koala bear at this point.
Like a koala bear.
But we were coming out of the building, and this is the thing that freaked us out the most. And I've never had this happen. We heard the most maniacal, evil laugh come out of the basement.
A man's laugh. As we were about to close the door, somebody was having a great laugh at our expense. That we
like a disembodied laugh.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it was.
Yep. There was smoke behind her as she was barreling down the stairs.
I am incredibly fast when I'm scared.
Now, you girls let other groups come in there to investigate and stuff like that.
We are about to let one Sixth Sense Paranormal from Wisconsin is coming up this summer, and they're going to do it.
I know them. Yeah,
I'm going to be up there with them because that's important to the Lighthouse Board that there be somebody. They don't just let anybody come in; it's got to be. Sixth Sense Paranormal helped us out last year, so it's kind of a reciprocal thing for them. We get a lot of requests for people wanting to come in and investigate privately, and those are typically declined. But if you've got an in with Trish and you Paranormal or the board,
and the biggest reason for me is that certain groups they do things that I don't agree with, like they do the Ouija board. I don't done at the lighthouse. I don't want anything being conjured there.
No, you don't.
You want them leaving it open
stay
either.
away from those things, and that was the reason why I was about to ask this question. I want to know: do you allow overnight tours, and would you be worried that things like that would be happening in a place because you already have activity inside of a place like that? See, that would be actually my concern as well, as letting people open up things that they don't even know how to close.
For sure.
Right.
It's not typically this summer. Sixth Sense is the first time we've ever had another group come up there. Trisha spent the night up there before, but it's typically not something. We're very protective of those ghosts because we have a great working relationship with them. They understand that we're trying to make money to fix up their lighthouse, and they'll do a little knocky knock and a little EVP session, and they'll say the name of somebody on the tour. That's their big parlor trick. We play a secret word game with them. As well, where I'll tell the tour when I pick them up outside down at the Maritime Museum, our secret word tonight is going to be such and such. And Trish will tell the ghosts up in the lighthouse, our secret word is going to be such and such. And then later on during the tour, by EVP or whatever app she's using, we'll ask the ghosts, can you repeat the secret word? And it usually takes asking a few times, but they'll usually give us the secret word. And that blows the minds of the tour guests, of course.
Sure.
Wow, that's incredible.
They're really great about interacting. It's super intelligent haunting, and I do believe they want to see that lighthouse restored to its former glory as well.
Yeah.
So you do these things as well as the regular historic tours just to try to generate some cash to restore it. Yeah, I totally understand.
We're strictly volunteer run, and so it's really important to us to try to restore that lighthouse to its former glory. They're expensive, those big lighthouses.
Yeah, hopefully we can help you guys out somehow or another with doing something like that.
I have a question for you guys.
Steve.
For you ladies. When you have people come and kind of go on a tour and stuff like that, Is it only the ghosts from the lighthouse that that seem to be present, or does sometimes people might have an attachment with them? Do you get activity from them or stuff that they are bringing into the lighthouse?
I think we actually have a child ghost that we believe drowned nearby.
Okay.
Don't know when, of course, but I believe he is there. I'm sure people have come there. I mean, you can get an attachment at the grocery store. So, I mean, I'm sure it probably could happen, but nothing we're aware of that. I mean,
there's a lot, like layers of spirits up there.
Yeah.
We've just kind of scratched the surface. Like they seem to really come and go. It's kind of transient as well. So we kind of have the three big players that we interact with all the time.
Sure. Yeah.
But we did have one coming through that was apparently from a prison in the Upper Peninsula last year. He was being a bit of a pain in the neck. So
interesting.
They come and go, and definitely it originated at the lighthouse.
Right.
Now,
the reason I just want to explain the reason why I asked that question is that when we go investigating places, we often notice that our team has a lot of activity, and sometimes it's almost like the question is, are we bringing stuff with us, and are these places kind of like a portal in a sense of energy that like other spirits can, like, oh, now I can talk to you, type of thing. Like definitely the spirits from the lighthouse are able to do that. I was just curious if you've noticed anything like that with other people. All of a sudden, like grandma starts talking to them or anything when they're at the lighthouse.
Well, I know we had a gentleman, he got as far as the door and he said, I can't go. I don't know if it had to do with him or the lighthouse, but he turned it. He said he couldn't be there.
I think everybody's a little more sensitive than others, and you just don't know. Now, one of the other questions I have about the lighthouse: have you ever heard? Because there's been so many wreckages that have hit the stones that are out there. Have you ever heard screams in the night?
No,
that's tricky.
We've heard children playing outside at 9:30 at night.
Yeah. Screams per se, not so much.
No.
The wreckage or the shipwreck that's right beside the lighthouse up there. Actually, all of the 13 people on board were rescued, so there was no drownings with that one. But there is a rich maritime history along the Lake Superior shoreline, and lots of death and lots of shipwrecks. So, yeah, specifically in the lighthouse, no. We have a life-saving service building right nearby that is haunted by the ghost of Captain Henry Cleary. And he was with the lighthouse service or the life-saving service for 25 years. His apparition has been seen in various beaches where he was stationed prior to Marquette.
So how close is this place to the lighthouse?
Oh, gosh. Not a couple hundred yards from it.
Oh, so you're able to go from the lighthouse to this
on the way up to the lighthouse. Yeah, it's between the Maritime Museum and the lighthouse, so you get to walk by it. And we talk a little bit about Captain Cleary. He's my celebrity ghost crush, so I always like to tell his story.
My ghost crush.
Celebrity ghost crush.
He was so heroic.
Yeah. So you don't hear any of those. The reason why I was asking is because of like residual hauntings.
Yeah.
From things that happen.
When we hear the children, I think, were they children of, or I wonder, were they children of people that live there? Where are these child voices coming from? I don't know.
There is residual activity up there, we believe. We do hear from the Marquette City Police. They see shadow figures gliding down the side of the lighthouse on the regular. And that, I would guess, is residual. They don't.
It might be, or it could be the intelligent haunting that's happening.
We get people, we always tell folks when they're out on the catwalk and they turn back to get a photo of the lighthouse, because it's gorgeous. Everybody wants a picture. We always tell them to make sure you check the windows in your photos, because some people will get somebody looking out the top windows at them in their photos.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
We kind of get the same thing over in the Chicagoland area on the tours that we take people out on, because that's what we do, is we do ghost tours around here.
Have you ladies heard of a place called Bachelor's Grove?
Cool.
Have you ever heard of a thing called Bachelor's Grove Cemetery?
I've been to Bachelor's Grove.
Yeah.
I could tell you a story about that.
Yeah, absolutely. And the reason I bring up the Bachelor's Grove real quick, we do ghost tours in Chicago, and when we take people to the Bachelor's Grove area, they see faces in the window if they take pictures. Often it's like people who aren't even on the bus.
Yeah.
And we have to look at these pictures and go, what the heck's going on? So it kind of reminded us of that. But you have a Bachelor's Grove story?
In my ear. You know that little pond that's right next to it? I was standing there, and I went to turn, and a man whispered my sister's name in my ear. My sister was clear across by the infant's grave. And I was just like chilled to the bone.
Oh, yeah.
I heard a girl's voice at Bachelor's Grove Cemetery because I always hear things out of my left ear, and all of a sudden it goes, Neal. I go, damn. I go, man, here we go.
Right.
We got a lot of good EVPs from that place there.
Oh, I bet.
Oh my God, that place! So I guess it's like the second most haunted, if not the most haunted cemetery in America.
It is one of my favorite places to go. I absolutely love Bachelor's Grove.
Yeah. So I want to thank you two ladies for coming on, sharing with us your stories about the lighthouse, the Marquette Lighthouse, and that's in Michigan. No, it's not Michigan City. What part of Michigan is it?
Marquette, Michigan, in the Upper Peninsula.
Marquette, Michigan, in the Upper Peninsula. All right. Well, ladies, I want to, if you can tell us, how can people get to your site?
Okay, there is a website. If you look up the Marquette Maritime Museum, the Marquette Maritime Museum website will tell you everything you need to know about our tour dates and our times. Paranormal tours, the tickets are pre-sold before the tours in advance. So if you are interested in joining us, give the Marquette Maritime Museum a call, and they will set you up with some tickets.
Okay, and is there good hotels kind of nearby where people, if they want to spend the night?
You know what? If you want a haunted hotel, stay at the night in Marquette. They have a haunted room.
Oh, really?
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, we got to get in contact with them too.
Right.
And 2 for 1. People can look on Facebook at Uber Paranormal and look up evidence that I have, like videos and EVPs.
Right. So they can just go on to also your website is Marquette Lighthouse. They go on that and you just hit the website and can they pull up that from there, some of the evidence?
No, the Marquette Maritime Museum website does not have links to that currently. We're working on setting up a Uber Paranormal YouTube channel. So we'll have goodness on there, starting with that Halloween special that we sent you guys earlier. Where you can hear Keeper Sales say, "Hello, Susan," for the very first time, and the horrified look on my face as that happened.
Well, once again, Trish and Susan, thank you very much for coming on. Yeah. This is Neal with Graveside Paranormal and the Paranormal Guys podcast. And guess who that is over to the side of me?
Steve.
Steve. And as always, boys and girls, boo.